This shop's one of a kind. We never know what might turn up. Some days, it could be a grand old classic. Other days, maybe a muscle car, even a military vehicle. Some jobs are quick fixes. Others are full-blown restorations. And on occasion, million-dollar recreations. My only rule, perfection. And that's the kind of thing that we do at the Guild Garage. Over the last few weeks, Al and Billy have been working on the Ferrari 250 GT California Spider. Billy's been working on the chassis, and Al's been creating the skins for the body. So far, I'm pretty pleased at the job they're doing. The boys have been moving so fast on this Ferrari that we've actually had to stop and wait for the grille assembly to come in.
We've been waiting for it for a while because we haven't been able to button up the front of the car without it.
I was very pleased this morning when I walked in and saw that the grille assembly had finally arrived from Italy.
This is the Italian manufactured
grille assembly.
Polished grille assembly.
Oh, nicely done.
Yeah, so I've just taken the chipboard and copied these angles and glued them together. So when we come over to the buck, we can see the placement of the actual unit. Each one of these cars was handmade, and there is variation in the body skins themselves, but there are a number of off-the-shelf or semi-off-the-shelf parts, like the headlights and the headlight covers, the grille, obviously parts of the drivetrain that are not going to change. And we use those to help guide how the body skins come together. And then we use lots of pictures and measurements to determine the relationships of those known parts. And then the skin becomes the fill-in in between all of those. So if we look at the drawing, there's no blueprints to work from, and there's no hard and fast measurements. So we study the photographs really hard. Top of the grille, bottom of the lights, straight line, dead across.
That angle and that angle are totally dissimilar.
Handmade.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, that's really way out. Look at this, the distances between the hood and the top of this arc.
Absolutely.
Funnily enough, when I look at the grille on the original car, it's wildly out of proportion. I mean, you probably would never notice it when you're just walking around the car, but the actual curves on the original grille don't match up side to side. Between the hood and the top of that arc, I mean, you've got a completely different... So, in effect, we have to produce this one better than this original Ferrari.
Yes.
Because I would never allow that out of the shop.
Yeah. We're shooting to make a perfect car, but we're copying something that's handmade, and no two are alike. So we want to be able to do at least as good of a job as them, but we need to retain the handmade feel.
Yeah, see, there's no issues with this.
No, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put it away very soon so I don't make it unperfect.
Yeah.
This morning, Janice and I were just going over some shop stuff when we hear a tractor running. Of course, it's Dave. He's building a second row of tractors out here. Eventually, we won't have a parking lot.
I bought 5 new tractors at an auction in California. So we got them unloaded, and I'm just sort of parking them in places. I'm pretty excited.
It's nuts.
He's crazy.
Yeah, I've been buying them at auctions, and sometimes you see things posted, you know, in old farm magazines, or just online, or at the grocery store, on the message board.
Well, what are we gonna do with all these? I have no place to put cars.
Another one?
I got 5. I got a really good deal. I got 1 dropped off at the house. Normally, I wouldn't buy 5 of anything in California, but you know, with the tractors being floated on an open trailer, it was the same price to get 1 tractor here as 5. So when I got the tractor I was after, which was the ARC cab, then I just went back in and bought 4 more tractors to fill out the load.
You know you're crazy, right?
And what's your plan for this?
I'm gonna sell it. I know that they all think I'm nuts, but I actually have a plan in mind. I think right now tractors are worth a lot more money than people think they are. You know, if you buy them for less than half of their market value, you can afford to sell them for less than their market value. They look like a good deal for the buyer. They're a great deal for the seller. So it sort of all works out.
How many does that make now?
30-something.
Look, it's a sea of tractors.
Yeah, it's great from here, eh?
What's worse is that with your mental problems that you have, they all have to be color coordinated too.
Yeah,
This is just a lot of work that goes into.
it is. It's
the
not quite right.
sequence.
Down the far end, it's a bit of a letdown. There's a bit of a mix.
Oh, you better get on that.
Yeah.
And I like the tractors too. You know, at the end of the day, we have the farm. We do use them, and we use different tractors for different things. So, you know, they are handy.
You know, people wonder why I become attracted to tractors, and the simple reason is, you know, we got a farm and we had to start using them. And, you know, anytime I'm messing around with a machine of any sort, I got interested in all the other kinds and types and everything. So, you know, it was sort of natural. We bought the farm. An old Massey Ferguson came with it, little TE820 Massey. It was red and it was sort of cute, and it could do a few chores around here, but it wasn't enough of a tractor. So shortly after buying it, we bought a virtually new Holland tractor, which was 60 horsepower diesel. It's modern, it's got air conditioning, you know, closed cab, and it does a lion's share of the work around the farm.
Ganj.
Hey, boys. We bought the Golden Jubilee, the little Ford, and, you know, the idea was to herald the arena with it. It's fun to take some of these really much older ones and put them through their paces. You know, it can do it, but it's a lot of work to do it. Its lift system was revolutionary for, you know, the 1940s. But now it's sort of antiquated. The lift doesn't stay in the right position, and, you know, the throttle's up and down, that kind of thing.
It's not running right.
We don't use the Jubilee very much because we're scared of hurting it. It's the typical, you've restored something, now you don't want to use it. We're sort of making ourselves jump on and off with sandy feet and all that kind of thing. You don't really want to. But because we don't use it much, it's not as reliable as it should be. And you know, like today, it just sort of died.
That's not good.
Today's a pretty exciting day. This morning I finished up welding the 2 panels to each side of the Ferrari. That's pretty cool because it started out as just a bunch of pieces of flat sheet metal. After about 12 weeks of shaping metal, it's starting to look like a car.
We're actually going to see the chassis and the skins that Al's made for the Ferrari come together, and we're going to be able to look over it, see if there's any adjustments that need to be made, and do so accordingly. Hopefully there's none.
Up until the point when you take all the panels, the miscellaneous pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, and you hang them on the chassis, you're kind of dealing with a bunch of different parts. But when all those parts come together and you see where the wheels are going to go and you see that it sort of has its own personality, it becomes its own sort of entity.
I was actually really happy with the way the Ferrari started to look. It was really good in all of the lines that were on it. One of the things that I hear most often is the word replica when it's surrounded a car like this. And that's not really accurate. In fact, it's kind of offensive because when you have somebody who is as skilled as Al is, who is shaping all of the aluminum the same way that the original craftsmen at Ferrari would have done way back in the 60s, it's kind of insulting. So it's a recreation, and in this case, because it's a genuine Ferrari, it's a rebody. It's a real craft, it's a real art, so everyone needs to give him his due.
That looks like a Ferrari.
Has it
But
got
not-
gas?
Don't know. I assumed that we had it gassed up.
Probably just expired from the thought of actually doing some work. It wasn't gas. It had enough gas in it. It shouldn't have died like that. And they should sputter when they die. Let's see what you're doing, miserable little sod. Oh, that's not good. I wonder why there's fire. Yeah, whenever you get a fully restored anything that then doesn't get used because everybody's scared to use it, when you go to use it, well, this happens. I think it's flooding. It actually flooded itself to death. So, simple solution, just give it a quarter turn on the carb and hopefully it won't run quite as rich. I think it just fainted from having to do some work. We've got a little Super Dexter, a little blue diesel.
Hey!
About the same size tractor, but a lot more power, a lot more torque, and it's a little more modern, so the lift stays where you want it, and the harrow will stay at whatever level you want to set it at. So we'll probably end up just using the Dexter, and the Golden Jubilee will go back to being a trailer queen. The older the tractor, the more fun you have driving it, but the less efficient it is. I was really worried about this because the doorknob here bought it without seeing it.
It's supposed to come down on an angle. If everyone else gets the hood wrong, I want to make sure that we get the hood right.
Oh, wow.
Here it is.
Wow.
So Dave bought another car, no big surprise, but he bought it off the internet, sight unseen. He looked at pictures, but it looks like he bought a really nice car.
Oh, man, I love this.
Looks like a little reverse torpedo, rounded back on it. It's got some really cool lines to it, for sure.
I know, it's one of my favorites. I bought an absolutely gorgeous, I'm hoping, 1969 Alfa Romeo Duetto, which is one of the prettiest little spiders that the Italians made for an awful long time. Pininfarina design car, just beautiful. This is a Spider, and people think Spider, the arachnid, and it's not. Spider is basically Italian for convertible. It was a pig in the poke. I mean, I saw lots of pictures of it, but I didn't expect to get what I got. A beauty. What's the engine like? Have you looked at it?
No, I haven't. Just got rolled in now. So the outside looks great. We're gonna have to get it up and have a really good check over it and make sure it's all good, but first glance, I think he's made a good buy.
Okay, I was really worried about this because the doorknob here bought it without seeing it. Oh, look at that.
It's nice and clean.
I mean, I saw lots of pictures and I look at them and, you know, still it's a leap of faith to start bidding on it, but boy.
Yeah, you can't see in all the nooks and crannies in the pictures, right? But
you know, in pictures, you know, pictures can make something look really good. Wow, that is pretty. And you know what? It has fewer flaws in the paint than I thought it was gonna have.
And it hadn't been restored?
Apparently not, no. I want to see it with the top down. I mean, they look okay with the top side, but they look a lot better with the top down.
Look at this little button snaps.
These are not from the days when you pressed a button. Well, it's a lot easier than that, Alpha. So there should be a tonneau. There should be some way of opening the trunk. It's Italian, it's got to be up here. There it is. Oh, nice. So, yeah, not too many extra bits and pieces, but... Okay. Now, what the hell? Oh, yeah, look at this. It's got a little... It's elegant. So, I guess slides into these.
These clips, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty simple. Couple of snaps and it's done. California plate. Look at how many times it's been licensed. The stack is, look how thick it is.
It's a quarter-inch stack.
Yeah, well, California, the plates are kept on the cars, so they travel with the car, not with the owner. I'm a little bit flabbergasted because it's better than I expected it was going to be. And, you know, I've never bought anything sight unseen.
Well, it's a roll of the dice, and it was a good roll this time, right?
Yeah, lucky. You've seen me with some disasters before.
Hey, it happens.
I score a perfect almost 9%.
Definitely looks like a Ferrari.
This project is so much fun. I'm so happy to have the opportunity to work on it. I mean, who gets to say they built a Ferrari from the ground up? There's nothing like it.
Actually, everything looks pretty good. I noticed that there's a little bit too much crown on the rear quarters.
Yep, I think you're right. I think it's a little too radical.
My only complaint really is we got a little bit too much crown in the rear quarters, and it looks like we're probably going to have to push the actual frame for the hood back just slightly because it seems like it's a little too long. Because it's very important that we make sure that the hood is
Not wrong.
Not wrong. Because actually, that's what I've noticed in a lot of the cars. If everyone else gets the hood wrong, I want to make sure that we get the hood right.
Oh, we're gonna get the hood right. We're gonna get it just right.
The one thing holding us back now that we have no idea what the timeline's going to be is the engine. The interior's done, it's waiting to be put in, the roof bows are all made, you know, we're just waiting now for the engine so that we can get it past this point.
Is he asking to get a new building for his tractors?
Well, I'm in love again. This is a great one. So one of the things I always caution people against is just buying a car sight unseen on the internet. But I never take my own advice, and now I have to hope that what I have done is going to work out. The internet has given us access to a wealth of cars that we couldn't have seen 20 years ago. But the downside to that is you can buy a real pig in a poke. I usually would say don't do it, but people do. So what you've got to do is you go online, you find a reputable online auction, and you make sure that they have a way of vetting the cars. And one of the ways you can vet it is you'll get dozens and dozens of photographs. Make sure you've seen every detail of the car. Ask for a video clip of the car running and not revving to hell and everything. Just so you can quietly listen to it, and then a gradual increase in RPM, maybe even a road drive where you've got good sound so you can sort of hear it. You know, something that a lot of people don't factor in is where is it and how much is it going to cost to get it to you? So, you know, if you're buying a car in California because it's a good deal, because it's $5,000 cheaper than one you found locally, it's not a deal at all. And if it's crossing borders, add another 20 or 30%. So sometimes something you'd save $5,000 on costs you an extra 15 by the time you're landed. Yeah. And just ask questions. Ask lots of questions, because people will quite often start telling you the truth if you ask lots of questions.
You know, I've been with David for a long time, almost, well, 30 years. And this is something pretty new, his addiction with tractors. So David's plan with these tractors is to sell them.
What's the plan then as far as timeline? Because we've got a lot of stock.
Well, we got to find somewhere to put them this winter, because I don't want them outside. So we need a storage space for them to overwinter them, fairly large storage space.
Is he asking to get a new building for his tractors? It's looking like we're going to have to get an extra building just for his tractors.
No, I mean, I know it looks crazy, and it might be the beginning of an ongoing psychosis.
You're totally nuts, man.
But I have a plan. I do. Well, I'm in love again. Whilst I didn't take my own advice about not buying stuff sight unseen, well, I'm really glad I bought this car. A lot of people sort of looked at me when I bought it and went, "You what?" But wow, it's great. I mean, this isn't a powerhouse like modern cars, but it is such an icon of sports cars. It handles like an old sports car, and that's something I really like. Modern cars do everything, and they do it all really well. There's no real skill involved in making them do things that are pushing their limits. Pushing limits is the fun of these cars. So make sure you get as best as you can. Nice car.
What happened to cars?
I like tractors.
You and I go into cars.
I like tractors. Hey, Larry.
Hey, Dave, what's going on?
I have a business endeavor that perhaps you should get involved in.
Yeah.
Let me show you.
Okay.
Because you haven't seen this yet.
Okay.
I mean, I know you know about it, but,
Oh, yeah.
but
Okay.
seeing it and,
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay.
you know. I bought some tractors that are, you know, they're fairly common, but they're in beautiful shape.
I like the tracks. I like this on
Yeah,
the
isn't
old
that
end.
unusual?
I like that. You know me,
And
I like the old
The
Fords.
tracks
on
are
that.
rare, and a two-end Ford is rare.
How many of these darn things have you got?
I don't know, I got about 30 tractors now.
What are you doing here? Are you trying to corner the market on farming? Are you going to start growing corn and digging potatoes? What are you doing?
I'm pitching you with a business opportunity.
I'll bet you are. I'll bet you are.
Just think, we could be the kings of the tractors.
Yeah, like...
We could do Concord tractors.
I've waited my whole life for an opportunity like this. David's
odd because tractors are for farmers. I mean, a person drives by and all of a sudden you're thinking, what's a tractor doing there? Just cut the lawn? What is it for?
What happened to cars?
I like tractors.
You and I go into cars.
I like tractors. You know, Larry doesn't get tractors, not yet. They only built 37 of these. 37, Larry. It's worth about 8 or 9 times what I paid for it.
Wow.
Tractors now are what cars were before we had the internet. Everybody's got a car, pretty much is running around on the computer, and they, you know, my 57 Chevys were $90,000 because I saw it online. Well, you know, the tractor guys are still not there. So if you're canny and you buy from people who think they are taking you to the cleaners, and I'm fine with that. If they think they're screwing me in fact I'm getting a real good deal, well, I'm happy with that.
Have you issued anything into the local farm market to let everybody know that you've got these
no,
kind
I'm
of
keeping it under wraps right now.
Do you think
It's
maybe you
secret.
could start a museum? There's a museum.
Yeah, there's a money winner.
I mean, I can understand why he likes them because there are certain parts about them that kind of you look at it and go, wow, wow. But this only appeals to a certain type of person. But you know, that's him.
I have a great sickness for cars, but somehow I'm just not as
hood
attracted.
ornaments.
And hood ornaments.
Yeah.
He loves it, let him go for it. He can have it, and I don't want it. I'll stay with cars.
Please don't buy any more tractors, Dave.